What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and I trust that the end of that game was a little bit thrilling for you. This is our Dallas Cowboys postgame show here on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. We do also stream this live to our Blogging the Boys Facebook page. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please like us on Facebook. We do also podcast this for you as well, available on the Blogging the Boys podcast network. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a rating, write a review. Those things are always appreciated. We have a lot to unpack as the Dallas Cowboys successfully, ultimately defeated the Washington football team in Landover, Maryland at FedEx Field, the worst stadium in the NFL. The final score 27-20. Some really nice things to take away that we're definitely happy about and pumped about and interested by, but definitely some things to maybe panic over is an aggressive way to put it, but definitely some things to sort of freak out about. Now, if you were busy, if you didn't get a chance to watch, if you're with us live and you just want to vent, the Dallas Cowboys defense was fantastic on Sunday in Washington. Micah Parsons may have cemented his status as the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year. He is obviously son of the Defensive Rookie of the Year award a long time ago, but Micah playing extremely well. Randy Gregory played extremely well. Dorance Armstrong played extremely well. Neville Gallimore, DeMarcus Lawrence, on and on and on and on. We have a lot of winners, obviously, that we'll get to mostly on the defensive side of the ball. We do have winners, losers, and honorable mentions to get to as well as all of your comments. Most of the losers are on the offensive side of the ball, and I think that we are feeling like losers because we have trusted this offense. We have put a lot of hope and a lot of belief into this offense because this offense has put a lot of hope and belief into us by the actions that they've had. This offense has performed time and time and time again prior to really the Dallas Cowboys playing the Denver Broncos. The Cowboys obviously returned from their win in Minnesota, and they were really flat offensively there, and we obviously understood why, because Dak Prescott was not playing. It was Cooper Rush, et cetera, et cetera. Things are going to settle. Things are going to be fine. Cowboys get blasted by the Broncos. No big deal. They throw some monkey butt on it. They come out. They dominate the Atlanta Falcons. All right, cool, we're awesome. Then they go to Kansas City. They're not great. We try to reason and bargain with ourselves that things are just a matter of playing an ascending defense in the Chiefs, a tough place to play at Arrowhead. They're not that great against the Raiders on Thanksgiving. Yes, they had a nice fourth quarter offensively. They were really flat last Thursday in New Orleans. They really just had the 58-yard touchdown by Tony Pollard, who did not play in Washington today. And then today, the Cowboys in Washington put up one offensive touchdown and barely squeaked by, even though Dak Prescott kind of did everything he could to literally throw this game away from for the Cowboys rather. So a lot to get to, and I'm going to spoil it for you. Dak is really the biggest loser, and I think we all have some concerns. A win is a win, and tomorrow is Victory Polo Monday, and that's the most important thing. The Cowboys have effectively won the NFC East. It is going to be impossible for them to lose it at this point. However, it was impossible for them to lose this game in Washington, and they flirted heavily with that possibility down there at the very end. So a lot to get to, a lot of layers to this onion. So let's go ahead and get into it. Like I said, this is your post-game show. Whatever you want to talk about, whatever direction you want to go, I am driven by your comments. I am merely your puppet. You control the strings. What does that make you? It's not the mannequin. I don't know what it's called, but whatever. Vance Williams, first super chat. Thank you, Vance. Says, glad to get the win against the team with no name, but for the offense, I am concerned the Irishman style. I've never seen the Irishman myself. I did watch Tick, Tick, Boom last week. My wife has never seen Harry Potter, so we started to watch the movies last night. That's kind of what I'm into at this moment. I've heard great things about the Irishman, but yeah, this is, it's well past the point. You know, early it was fair to say, well, we're not going to panic about the offense. We're not going to freak out. You can panic. You can freak out. It's more than just wonder why. It's more than just they look off. It's more than just things aren't totally clicking. No, this is a really bad, really dysfunctional, really inept offense. This offense couldn't get it done. You know, there were back-to-back possessions last week against New Orleans where the Cowboys defense forced turnovers and the Cowboys offense went 3 and out. And we saw that. Yes, they got the first down today at the very end of the game to ice it. Congratulations to Dak Prescott finally running, something we've all been wanting to see for a long time. We understand why he doesn't, but still, it is an element to his game that can help. But the Cowboys, I mean, offensively, the pick six right there at the very end, I mean, what's going on? This team just cannot get it done offensively. It's more than they just cannot get it done. This offense is actually hurting the overall cause, and that's why we're at the point where we're ready to panic, we're ready to freak out, etc. Murder She Wrote, thank you for the super chat, says Victory Polo Monday, and we owe it all again to the defense. Offense, feeling very 2006 Chicago Bears-ish. Not that Dak is Rex Grossman by any means, but that's what it feels like. It feels like this defense is good for some turnovers, some takeaways, maybe a score. They've had back-to-back scores, obviously, over the last 2 weeks. This defense is really what's keeping this team alive right now. This offense has not gone against an elite offense. In fact, the offense they went up against today in Washington was led by Taylor Heineke, who's cute and everything, but, nothing to really be intimidated by. And even he got hurt. I mean, you got a combination of Taylor Heineke and Kyle Allen, and I don't recognize Kyle Allen as a fighting Texas Aggie. We don't have to get into that, but the fact that you can't easily outscore them, the fact that, after the Jourdan Lewis fumble recovery, the Cowboys got the ball at the Washington 25-yard line, the fact that that is a field goal, it's not even a first down, not even not a touchdown, obviously. And so it's difficult. It's difficult to trust this offense, this team in the overall. It's tough right now. Calvin Patel, thank you for the super chat, says, no troll or joke, but what is up with Dak? The mechanics on his throws and can't read defense. Is his calf still bothering him? I think we're in this place where we have this very vague question, and I'm monitoring to see if there are any comments coming out in the postgame from any of the players speaking to the local media, but you call it his calf. I mean, it's fair to call it a calf, by the way, as the Buccaneers go up almost extra point pending 7-0 on the Bills. We want the Bucs to lose this game, by the way. But if you look at the timeline, right, the calf is obviously a break point, right? Dak was really good prior to the calf injury. Dak has been really not good since the calf injury. Is the calf injury to blame for that? It's fair to wonder. It's fair to ask that out loud. It's that's really the most explainable explanation, I think. But man, it's tough. And, they talked obviously on the broadcast about Dak against the blitz and how teams aren't blitzing him, etc. You get deeper into the season and obviously teams play you differently. And so it is a combination of factors in this host's personal assessment, but he is, it looks clunky. It looks like he's pulling teeth. It looks like he's forcing. I've talked about this many times before. If you've listened to me or if you watched our videos here at Blogging the Boys, Dak has told the story before from when he worked with Jon Kitna. Jon Kitna used to use a Golden Corral analogy with him. If you've ever been to eat at Golden Corral, which most people have, it's a buffet. And the story that Dak has told, and I can tweet the video out after this and you can see it, is that Jon Kitna's philosophy is, look, everybody gets in line at Golden Corral and waits for the prime rib at the end of the line. We're not going to do that. We're going to get in line, but we're going to take everything in front of us. We're going to take the chicken fried steak. We're going to take the fried fish. We're going to take the slices of pizza and the spaghetti and the rolls and all that stuff. And Dak's just not taking that. It does feel like Dak is aiming for the prime rib over and over and over and over. And he's just forcing and pressing these big plays and trying to make something out of nothing when there is something there. It's not the big something, but it is something. And so ultimately right now it's tough. I don't think that's a troll question at all. Kenneth Cook, thank you for the super chat, says loser, Dak and Zeke. I'm hard-pressed to put Zeke into the loser category just because he's clearly ailing. I think it was an admirable effort, but yeah, not a great game for Zeke, obviously, if we're calling, everything straight up. Anthony, thank you for the super chat, says, sorry for the Twitter pessimism. I'm a Minnesota Timberwolves fan and a Cowboys fan. All I know is pain. Love the pod. And thank you very much, Anthony, and we'll take the ugly W. That's the thing, and we said this after the Saints game. No Cowboys fan is going to sit here because you are probably going to run into somebody, whether it's on Twitter, online, in your real life, on Reddit, in some forum, on one of our threads at bloggingtheboys.com, and somebody's going to tell you, stop complaining. Somebody's going to say, you know what, just be happy. Why can't you just be happy? Why are you being so negative? You know why we're being negative? Because we expect more. We want more than to just barely eke out a win against the New Orleans Saints led by Taysom Hill and the Washington football team led by a combination of Taylor Heineke and Kyle Allen. We expect more. This team is effectively in the playoffs. Again, the NFC East title is not confirmed, but it is all but secured at this particular point in time for the Cowboys as they have 4 games left in the regular season. We want more. Yes, we're all going to line up. We're all going to buy the caps and the t-shirts. They're going to be under our Christmas trees for Christmas Day. What is it? 2 weeks from now. And that's going to be awesome. Pumped. I'm going to add the NFC East championship cap to my collection. However, I have bigger wants than that. You have bigger wants than that. So yes, we're all happy that the Cowboys won. And the reason we're being negative is because they barely won. They won in spite of their franchise quarterback. And before we go any further, I do want to say that we have reached this weird point with Dak Prescott, at least the things that I have seen where, as an OG Dak defender, and you are likely one yourself, there were days where we used to have arguments with people. We used to have to explain how awesome he was and how people didn't appreciate it, including the Cowboys, and it took forever for him to finally get the deal. And at some point over the last year, over the last 365 days or so, we crossed into this world where now if you criticize Dak Prescott in any capacity, you are lumped into that hater club and you are painted as somebody who doesn't believe in Dak Prescott. You are painted as somebody who's doubting that he can never be a great quarterback again. Dak Prescott is a great quarterback in the overall. He has proven that time and time and time again. That is one truth. Another truth is that Dak Prescott has been awful over the last 6 weeks. Dak Prescott was almost the sole reason that the Dallas Cowboys lost and blew this game to the Washington football team. Dak Prescott right now is holding the Cowboys team back. This is new uncharted territory for a lot of people, but it's very reminiscent, I think, of early 2018 Dak Prescott before Amari Cooper showed up. Maybe if you want to go back a little bit further, the first 3 games of Ezekiel Elliott's suspension in 2017, the Cowboys offense looked broken in those stretches. They weren't winning games like they are right now, and ultimately right now that makes this better, but they are so bad and clunky and stuck in just a clutter on offense that they can't get out of their own way. So that's why we're negative, because we have higher hopes. F. Kit Crutch says, loser, the offense and Wonder Boy Moore figured out. Yeah, I mean, I think that the onus ultimately falls on Dak Prescott. He is, call him the leader, quarterback, face of the franchise, etc. If you want to throw in the contract, I think that's done, but whatever. Dak is the guy who ultimately, pulls the strings, manhandles the controls and things like that. Kellen Moore is awful. Let's be clear about that. Washington had like 2 defensive ends on their roster. Daniel Wise was playing defensive end for them in this game. And Cowboys are insisting on running the ball up the middle. I don't understand Kellen Moore. This is a really obvious thing. I'm not going to pretend to know more about football than Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is a genius. Kellen Moore is destined for great things. But Kellen, this doesn't make sense. What you're doing here is very, very, very peculiar. And I think something that should be said about Kellen Moore, and I'm in no way trying to defend him, but Kellen Moore is also limited by what he can call by his quarterback. Dak Prescott is limiting the potential of this Dallas Cowboys offense. That is a sentence that I never, ever, ever, ever thought that I would say in my life. But Dak Prescott has put a ceiling on the capability of this Cowboys offense. And so if you were Kellen Moore, if I was Kellen Moore, I mean, we would have the face of Jimmy Neutron, obviously, but we would not be able to do things because our quarterback is not able to accomplish them. So what can you do other than just run it 1,000 times? Because that's all your offense is capable of doing right now. So it's a tough situation for Kellen Moore. Let's see here. I think we have a couple more super chats to get to here. Eli Perkins, thank you very much, says, what more does Dak need? He has everything. And this is an argument, obviously, that a lot of us have had too, right? We all wear and carry a lot of battle scars, right? We've had the dink and dunk argument. We've had the is it Dak, is it Zeke, or whatever, as my Apple Watch thinks I'm talking to it. I'm not. We're on the show. Please be fine. But he's got, and the offensive line experienced some changes in this game, right? We saw Zach Martin go down, Tyron Smith go down, Lyle Collins get ejected. Lyle Collins, not a winner on the list, but Lyle Collins, a winner in here, baby, in the Corazon. Good job, Lyle, defending your quarterback, even though he's not playing very well. You should always defend your quarterback, which the Cowboys did not do during their last trip to the stadium a year ago when John Bostic took a cheap shot on Andy Dalton. And so while the offensive line experienced some turnover, you've got Amari Cooper, you've got Michael Gallup, you've got CeeDee Lamb. Yes, Tony Pollard is out in this game, but you have the weaponry. And what's more is not only do you have the skill position players, but you have the opportunities. We mentioned it a little while ago. Jourdan Lewis recovers a fumble. You got 25 yards to go. You got 25 yards. That's nothing. That's a sand wedge at half, strength. I mean, that's nothing. And you can't even get a first down. So this is a tough argument to diffuse these days. Bryan, thank you for the super chat, says the Dallas Cowboys are a defensive team and we just need the offense to not be horrible to win. We have said that all year. It's funny. I mean, it's funny how, life can be funny, right? And football can be funny and the Cowboys can be funny. And so something we have all said for, I don't know, the last 20 years, through most of the days of Tony Romo and obviously Dak Prescott now. And, there have been times in certain seasons, certain pockets where the Cowboys defense has played really well. But right now it's like, yeah, if you can just be an average offense, this team can be really great and really dangerous overall. That's kind of the pace that the Cowboys defense is playing at. It is very strange. It's tough. It really is tough. But okay, let's keep going here. Noise of the Boys podcast, thank you very much, says, I'm the biggest Dak supporter there is, but that Dak pick 6 was Carson Wentz-esque. Yeah, I mean, remember, was it like 6-7 weeks ago when the Indianapolis Colts were in San Francisco and Carson had the shovel pass that got picked off? That pick 6 at the end, I mean, what are you doing, Dak? Again, it's difficult. A lot of the comments are, hey, explain what's happening here, what's going on. You can't explain it because some of these things are they defy common sense and common logic. It's difficult because we've never seen Dak Prescott play like this. Ty Kasky, thank you for the super chat, says, is Dallas's defense good enough to beat Aaron Rodgers or Brady in the playoffs, especially how the offense is playing? I like this question. I think that this is the defense we have wanted, right? We have said many times before, if we could just have a defense that, flips the field a couple of times, gives us some short fields, gives us some takeaways, some turnovers, if they can get a defensive score, right? If they can level the playing field like that, we can take on those guys because our offense is elite. I don't know. I don't, we have this defense is playing really well, and I don't want to take away any of their shine, but they've done it over these last 2 weeks now against Taylor Heineke and Taysom Hill. And so it does come with a little bit of salt, several grains of salt that you have to take to contextualize the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, right now, I don't know how you could, rationally take the Cowboys over the Packers, over the Bucks, over the Cardinals. I mean, and I know a lot of you are going to say, I think the Cowboys are going to beat the Cardinals in week 17. Why? I mean, right now, what is there to support that claim? Because Arizona looks really well-rounded and the Cowboys offense is limiting their overall potential. Okay, let's see here. We have another super chat. Thank you. You guys are in a generous mood today. Zach Leatherman says, since injury, Dak is hesitant and not seeing the field the same. Does he need a therapist? Geez, I don't know if there's any malice in your question, Zach. I'm just going to say I don't like the end of this question. Something that Dak, and this is totally independent of football. And again, I don't want to put you in this box, Zach. I don't know if you're being, tongue in cheek here, but Dak has been a strong advocate for mental health, as we all know. We've talked about this at Blogging the Boys. We've talked about it on our shows and whatnot. So I don't like the inclusion of that. I don't think that's fair. I think we can stick to Dak's performance on the field. He has been not great as a quarterback. I want to get that comment off the screen just because, again, Zach, I don't want to, pinch you that way and say that was your intention, but I don't like the inferring that's happening there. Dak has been really bad as a functional NFL player, and that's kind of where this ends right now. And it's tough because this is a team that's going to the playoffs, and it's so hard to get here. It's so hard to get to this point, to be a division champion, to host a playoff game, to be in the mix, to be in the tournament. And so the Cowboys are going to have that. They're going to have that, and we should be able to celebrate that. We should be partying, and we should be laughing, and we should be, making jokes about how the Cowboys had the benches at the beginning of this game and how Ron Rivera, begged Washington fans to show up and they couldn't, but we can't do that because this offense is playing like basura. So it's a tough situation. It's a tough place to be in for the Dallas Cowboys. Jay Arrowwood on Facebook says this game was closer than it should have been. Too many offensive mental breakdowns. It really was. I mean, there's no way to kind of, get around this. The Cowboys offense made this game closer, and not just at the end. I think people are going to focus on the pick six and say, oh, you know what? Dak throws that pick six and that makes the game closer. That is true. However, this game was closer overall. I mean, it was 24-0 at the half. It should have been more than that. It should have been a bigger lead, and that's not being ridiculous. The Chargers, by the way, now up 14-7, extra point pending on the Giants. Obviously rooting for them. We're not being ridiculous or crazy and saying the Cowboys should have been winning 38-0 in the first half, but they kind of should have. The Cowboys had every opportunity to score and score and score and score in the first half. And this game, if the Cowboys, I realize how stupid this sounds or how hollow this sounds, but if the Cowboys offense shows up, this game goes very much like the game against Atlanta. But the Cowboys offense, Greg Zuerlein kicked 4 field goals in this game. 4 field goals the Cowboys had Greg Zuerlein kick. And so it's tough. But thankfully, the Cowboys do have. I do want to address this one question because a lot of you want to get to Micah Parsons, and we will. But Carlton, I do want to bring this up. Says, hey, RJ, do you think Dak is still worried about his ankle? There was a tweet that we got at Blogging the Boys during the game that said, why isn't Dak Prescott running? And I mean this in full seriousness. We know why. We know why Dak isn't running. It's, the season was ruined last year because Dak Prescott, ran. And so that's not to say Dak should never run. And, I'm sure you have a take, not just you, Carlton, but a lot of people on what happens when players get hurt, whether they're the same in certain capacities and whatnot. And I think we have seen that Dak is definitely less inclined to run. He does not run unless he absolutely has to. Now, what's weird about that is I mentioned the Atlanta game, but Dak's, lowering his shoulder in that game to get a meaningless touchdown at the end of the third quarter. And so we've kind of seen both. We've seen both ends of that spectrum, but it is very obvious that there is, there is that hesitancy from Dak Prescott. And it's not just running. I mean, the first interception Dak threw was awful. I mean, again, just really strange performance from Dak Prescott lately. Tim, by the way, does bring up Dak is no longer an option for MVP at this point. I would only say to that, not that I think Dak is an option, but there is no like front runner. I just think that's interesting about this NFL season because, Patrick Mahomes is even, obviously the Chiefs had a great win today, but you've had a lot of Matthew Stafford's fallen off. Maybe Kyler Murray's the guy. Maybe Tom Brady's the guy. I mean, it's interesting. But okay, let's get to some winners and losers. Well, actually, Zach, thank you for the super chat. Before we do, my question was poorly worded. Thank you, Zach. Again, I didn't want to put you in that box. I didn't, I'm sure that wasn't your intention. Zach's comment was implying it from a scared or injury standpoint. He's just not the same gunslinger scramble threat that he used to be. Totally agree. I mean, I totally agree with this. We have seen I said hesitancy. There is a reluctance, right? There is a reluctance from Dak Prescott to be aggressive, and we're seeing that bleed over into the rest of the team and into Kellen Moore. Their offenses, remember that quote, and we talked about it 1,000 times early in the season where Kellen Moore said that their disposition on offense was to aggressively attack what defenses give them. That was his phrase, to aggressively attack what defenses give them. And they haven't done that. I mean, they have kind of just tried to force their game plan against opposing offenses. They have not taken what defenses are giving them because, again, as evidenced by today, Washington's down all of their defensive ends. Why are you just running it up the middle? Why are you attacking their strength along the defensive line as opposed to aggressively attacking what they are giving you, what the weakness on that defense is? And we have not seen that from Kellen. We have not seen that from Dak. We have not seen that from the offense as a whole. So it's tough. It really is tough. STB31 says we did get to enjoy watching Micah crush Heinicke today, which was great. Hopefully Taylor Heinicke's feeling well. By the way, we are going to be rooting against this Washington football team next weekend. I know it's going to make your blood boil. We are Eagles fans for the week. If Dallas wins next week in New York against the Giants, and if the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Washington football team, you can order those division caps and division t-shirts. The Dallas Cowboys are NFC East champions. But mention Micah Parsons. Dude is unreal. I mean, I don't think I have to say it, but Micah Parsons is, I mean, he's the biggest winner, right? Micah Parsons is, let's give him all the honors here. Micah Parsons winner. I mean, how could he not be? How could Micah Parsons not be the team winner? Micah is a superstar. He is a freak. He is the fastest kid alive, to quote Superbad. I mean, he is the star of the game here. We're running out of superlatives that we can give Micah Parsons. I mean, he is, true or false? And I know what the answer is going to be, but true or false, he is the defensive player of the year. He's defensive rookie of the year. We know that. This TJ Watt, sorry. Myles Garrett, sorry. Aaron Donald, I mean, you could always be in the mix, but no, this is Micah Parsons. I don't care. And if he does not win it at this point, I hate to play conspiracy theory. I will only believe it is possible that the NFL does not want to give it to a rookie. And I will tell you something, that the NFL is weird, and we very rarely see players win multiple awards. And what I mean by that is it would be very rare for Micah to win Defensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, it's possible, and obviously it would be stupid if he doesn't, but the NFL is not afraid of being stupid, as you well know. So Micah Parsons, again, insane. I mean, what is there to say about this?
Empty backfield, pressure, Heinicke is jacked! Down he goes! The ball is loose! It's picked up by Dallas and Armstrong! He's got a convoy! He's going to walk in for the touchdown! Micah Parsons with the sack, forced the fumble, and Dorance Armstrong. A defensive touchdown in back-to-back weeks for Dallas.
Is there a better defensive player in the NFL? I don't care that he's a rookie. Is there a better defensive player this year than Micah Parsons? Unbelievable.
Well, clearly a sack. Let's make sure this was a fumble. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that ball's loose before Heinicke hits the ground.
I mean, man alive. He is, Dorance Armstrong, by the way, makes the winners list. You score a defensive touchdown, you're going to be a winner, 10 out of 10 times. But, lots of you mentioning Micah sack total. Let's get Fro life, no life. He is unreal. Unreal, unbelievable. By the way, Pedro Pena Jr. says, can't believe the score was 24-0 at the half. SMH 24-0, and it was a 27-20 win. That is definitely depressing. But Lil Boats says Micah Parsons is generational talent. He is He's crazy. Eddie, by the way, brings up a great point on the subject of defensive player of the year. Says TJ Watt has 16 sacks. Not going to happen. What I will say to that is I mentioned how the NFL doesn't like to give the same award to multiple people, like Micah in this case. However, the other thing I will add that is kind of working in Micah's defense here, no pun intended, is that he is on a playoff team. He is on a very visible team. Obviously, TJ Watt plays for a very visible team in the Pittsburgh Steelers. But right now, I mean, this is a different question. Are the Steelers going to make the playoffs? It was 13 years ago that a Dallas Cowboys player was robbed of Defensive Player of the Year by a Pittsburgh Steeler because the Dallas Cowboys were not in the playoffs. DeMarcus Ware should have been the Defensive Player of the Year in 2008. I will say that forever and ever and ever and ever. And the NFL wrongfully took it from him and gave it to James Harrison. Had the Cowboys been a playoff team in 2008, that goes to DeMarcus Ware. So that might actually work. And Micah Parsons' benefit here. Let's see. Steven says, Micah, the linebacker Parsons. I love that nickname that has been floating around for Micah Parsons. He's been awesome. Christopher Lopez says he is an unselflessness player. I think you mean selfless, but just making sure. Selfless player. That's why he's so good. He doesn't ask for more attention. He just plays. Jalen never acted like this. We don't have to take shots at Jalen Smith. All the best to Jalen. We're just happy to have Micah Parsons. Lil Boats does say that Micah Parsons reminds me a lot of Ware. Burmy Star, by the way, says, I will die on that hill with you. That's right. DeMarcus Ware, 2008 Defensive Player of the Year. EK says, we are starting to show a championship defense. You know what, EK? I agree, because the Cowboys have multiple players on defense playing very, very, very well. We mentioned Micah Parsons as a winner. We mentioned Dorance Armstrong. I'm going to throw Jourdan Lewis in there. Jourdan Lewis, all he does is make plays. Make plays. I mean, that's all he does. Jourdan Lewis just shows up and makes plays. Something else, that is just always appreciated. It's strange how Jourdan Lewis always kind of finds a way to get involved. More winners here. Randy Gregory, welcome back. Randy Gregory. I like to call him Randall Gregorius on Twitter because I feel like that name is more encompassing of the personality that he carries on the field. Randy Gregory is a monster. I mean, Randy has just been all season long, and the Cowboys clearly missed him. Mike, by the way, literally your comment just saw, throw in Randy Gregory. He is a monster. Randy has been amazing. He has just been this perfect find for him, for the Cowboys. And speaking of DeMarcus Ware, had a play very reminiscent of DeMarcus Ware while wearing his number 94. Look at this.
Got to get to the 27. Blitz is coming. They see it. Knocked away. Oh, Gregory, what a play! He tipped it. He intercepted it.
Man, I'm reading Mike McCarthy's comment, by the way, asked about the Cowboys struggling to close this game out, and said, that's your narrative. This isn't fantasy football. I would have liked the game to be more open in the second half, but at the end of the day, things happen. It's a great team win. You know what, McCarthy? I in a weird way, I respect Mike McCarthy. He's speaking of dying on hills, he's dying on the hill for his quarterback. Mike McCarthy, as much as we're all sitting here and complaining about Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy is not going to come out and trash his quarterback. He's not going to say, awful or whatever, Dak's bad, we got to work on this, whatever. He knows it. I mean, we all know that he knows it. And I think that Mike McCarthy deserves an enormous amount of credit. Now, while he's obviously going to say what he has to say on behalf of Dak and the rest of the offense, but primarily Dak Prescott, let's see. Oh, Watsamata says, sorry I'm late. Could you please recap the winners so far? Of course, Watsamata, anything for you. Thank you for the super chat. Our winners so far that we have discussed, Micah Parsons, Randy Gregory, Dorance Armstrong, Jourdan Lewis, and you're just in time for us to hand out our fifth winner, Watsamata, and it is Mike McCarthy. Now, I thought the guarantee from this week was stupid, if I'm being honest with you. I thought it was dumb, and I am somebody who likes to make a big deal out of little things like what Mike McCarthy said. I didn't think Mike McCarthy guaranteed a win. I didn't think Mike McCarthy was being, pompous or arrogant or, whatever. I thought Mike McCarthy was just, speaking honestly, was just saying, yeah, we're going to win. That's the plan, right? Like that. And, everybody had this argument online. I thought Ron Rivera was pretty salty about it, and I get why he did it. And as a fan of the Cowboys and of football in general, I did love the kind of stirring of the pot. Ron Rivera comes back and says, well, Mike McCarthy made it about him. Mike McCarthy, this and that. Keep in mind, people, Ron Rivera a week ago today literally begged the Washington football team fans to show up, and they did not. I know that we are live right now, but if you somehow went to the game and you're with us live, maybe in the car afterwards, or if you're watching us after the fact, or if you're listening after the fact, and you went to today's game, congratulations. You are also a winner. But I thought Mike McCarthy really handled this well. I mean, really did. First game back, obviously, since returning from the COVID list himself. And I'm curious. We have to talk about this. I've never talked about something like this on a post-game show before, but the benches. The Cowboys had some benches. What do you believe? What do you believe? Do you believe the bench thing was on purpose? Do you believe the bench thing? The report was, in case you missed it, maybe you were busy in the morning. So the Cowboys did not use the benches that were provided to them by the Washington football team by FedEx Field. These benches are where they sit, obviously, on the sideline, on the bench, literally speaking. They also are where they are warmed. The Cowboys are warmed, or anybody's warmed who sits on them. Because it's a little bit chilly, kind of 50s day today in Washington. So a little bit chilly. If you're in the shade, that could be kind of cold. So the Cowboys heard, this was the report from ESPN. They heard from the Seattle Seahawks, who played on Monday Night Football in DC 2 weeks ago, that the benches did not work properly and that they would go out. Now, this weather in a night game is probably pretty cold. So I understand the Seahawks, and they lost that game. Maybe the Seahawks feel like they had some benches. Maybe things go differently for them. But so the Cowboys, thought ahead of time, obviously have a lot of resources, got these benches from a company in Ohio, and they were decked out in Cowboys logos and gear or whatever, and they showed up, and everybody's all in a tizzy. I want to believe in my heart of hearts that this was like a plan and a ploy and, Mike McCarthy trying to get in the heads of Washington. I don't think that that is real. I would love to believe it, but I don't think that that's real. I think it's just a coincidence that, kind of got, not coincidence, but it's just a thing that got blown up. Either way, though, Mike McCarthy looks like the genius. Ron Rivera looks like the fool. So it is what it is. But Mike McCarthy, bench, no bench, huge winner because he did kind of guarantee the win. He got it. He looks smart. And everybody that thought he was being silly, granted, it did look a little bit, dicey down near the end, but everybody who was upset about it now has to just accept that they won. So good for the Cowboys. Let's see here. Let's go back. I saw we had a super chat from Bryan. Says, are sacks the only stat that you look at for defensive player of the year? Look at all the stats and you'll see Micah should be there with the leading contender. I agree. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I'm not saying TJ Watt deserves it over Micah Parsons, but it's a fair data point at the very least. David J, think of the super chats, is calling those stupid pass plays 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage pisses me off. They never work. Yeah. David, we agree with you. We agree with you. By the way, just keeping updates here. A lot of you asking about Tyron Smith. No update yet from Mike McCarthy, who's at the podium. So we'll see what happens. Oh man, different report. This isn't about the Cowboys, but the Baltimore Ravens fears that Lamar Jackson may have a high ankle sprain. So heads up in your fantasy leagues or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about this. I mean, we can only say this, several. There's a finite number of ways that we can say this. The Cowboys offense is not good. The Cowboys offense is trapped. The Cowboys offense can't get out of its own way. And that's just the design of the offense, let alone when you get to the quarterback, the person who's executing these things. Dak Prescott has not been good. I mean, let's face it. Dak Prescott has been bad. Dak Prescott has today. Actually, we'll put this question out to you, and I would like true or false answers, or agree or disagree, however you want to go here. Just make your point known. And let's be serious here. We're having this serious question because, look, we got a division to win. All right, we got some playoffs to get to, and we're excited about it. And we have some more, losers, or losers in general, to get to, and honorable mentions. By the way, since we're here, let's just do it. Losers. I was going to say lizards. There's no lizards here. Loser, Kellen Moore. Loser, capitalizing on turnovers, as mentioned. We've kind of, covered everything here. But loser, Dak Prescott. So my question to you, loyal viewer, loyal listener, loyal human being, I'll start first here. Was this the worst game that Dak Prescott has ever played for the Dallas Cowboys? In your estimation, was this the worst game against the Washington football team that Dak Prescott has ever played for the Dallas Cowboys? Now, to be clear here, there have been some stinkers. All right, there have been some tough ones. There have been some tough things to take. Now, a lot of you coming in, no. Good. Glad to see that. Now, some of you coming in, yes. Sometimes the comments take a minute. We're all over the place here. We got a lot of comments in different directions here. It's in the top three. I mean, at the very least, it's in the top three right now. And I need some time to kind of let it marinate to fully decide. It's in the top three, especially considering the pick six at the very end. I mean, that is an extremely uncharacteristic thing for Dak Prescott. So it's up there. I mean, I don't know that I'm ready to say it is the worst, but it is in the neighborhood. I mean, it is right up there. It's tough. It's tough cookies to say the least. And Geddes says it. Dak is stuck on home run plays. That's it. Dak, singles work, doubles work. I mean, but Dak wants to hit the home run. It's tough. Benny says, and I don't want to like overreact or whatever. But Benny says we're not championship caliber. They're not. The Cowboys are not championship caliber right now. The Cowboys don't look like a championship team. Again, as we look at Twitter, just to make sure everything's here. Everything's good. Everything is. Sorry. It's difficult to read and talk at the same time, but the Cowboys are not a championship team right now. They're a playoff team in literal sense. In a literal sense, they're going to be a playoff team, but they do not like a team that can win a championship right now. Now, a lot can change. Obviously, there's still a month left in the regular season, but right now they do not look like they have it. Jourdan says, huge Dak fan here, but that calf strain seems to have broken him somehow mentally. He hasn't been the same since it happened. I have a hard time disagreeing with this, and I don't want to, I don't, by the way, E-Cases Chargers Thanksgiving 2017. Yeah, that's probably it. That's definitely the one. Man, I mean, just a befuddling situation for Dak Prescott because there's no reason, right? Like you mentioned that 2017 Thanksgiving game. That was, the middle of a mega funk for the Cowboys. Those were their first 3 games without Zeke Elliott due to the suspension. That was actually their 3rd game in 2017 that the Cowboys scored in the single digits. That was the first time in Dallas Cowboys franchise history that they went 3 straight games scoring in the single digits. That 3-game stretch, by the way, did include the Chaz Green game. So just an awful moment. And again, we're sitting here, we're talking about, and it's true. I'm not trying to make up for it. It's true that Dak Prescott is playing horribly. However, the Cowboys are winning. And that doesn't mean that, him playing horribly should be excused or justified or accepted and not worried about. That is a mega problem for the Cowboys. They have to fix this. If they want to make some noise in the playoffs, the Cowboys have to fix the issues that are encircling their quarterback right now. But it does say something about the team overall because we've got the Dak Prescott issue and we've got the team issue. It says a lot, actually, about the team issue. And this is where I do think that Mike McCarthy deserves credit. I do think that Dan Quinn deserves credit. I do think that Micah Parsons and Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence and Neville Gallimore and Dorance Armstrong and even today, Leighton Vander Esch deserve credit. And Anthony Brown dropping interceptions deserve credit. All these people deserve credit because before it's just been Dak. And if Dak's not on, then they're screwed, right? Here it's like, man, Dak is awful. Dak is playing terrible. Dak is playing some woof football, but the team is playing really well. Now you need the context that kind of comes in the middle of that where you say, well, we're playing really well, but we're beating these like scrub teams. We're beating Taysom Hill and Taylor Heineke. What's going to happen when we play somebody good? I don't know what's going to happen when we play somebody good, but I can tell you this, it's not going to happen for a little while because next week the Dallas Cowboys are going to visit the New York Giants, and who knows who's going to play in that game, whether it's going to be Daniel Jones or Mike Glennon. And after that, they get this same sorry Washington team again. After that, yeah, they play the Arizona Cardinals, and that could be a difficult proposition for them. It's obviously going to be one. And if they lose, if they get blown out, we're all going to be sitting here 1 week away from the playoffs. And we're going to be panicking because we're going to say you cannot compete with the legitimate teams in the NFL. And so I liked what Greg Olsen said on the broadcast during the second half about how this could have been an opportunity for the Cowboys to kind of work on some things because at the time it seemed like they were going to cruise comfortably to a win. They did not do either of those things. But the Cowboys clearly have to figure something out. It's not only Dak. I mean, Dak is awful, awful, awful. But there are other issues and other things, other variables on this team that are also awful, 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 including Kellen Moore, including their overall offensive disposition. I think Mike McCarthy deserves some blame for that. He deserves a lot of credit for everything that's going well with the Cowboys, but it has been not great on the offensive side of the ball ever since the calf strain happened, as many people have pointed out. Let's see here. Let's get to honorable mentions. I like what Watsamata says here. Maybe honorable mention for Lyle for defending Dak. We talked about this a little while ago. 2020's team low moment was Andy Dalton, cheap shot concussion, and nobody beat up Bostic. Agreed. I definitely think that Lyle deserves an honorable mention. Lyle played fine, played well. Cowboys offensive line was okay. For the most part, but this was a great moment for Lyle Collins, certainly. Let's see here. A lot of you coming back here. Sanusi Cole says, plus Zeke being banged up, no running back at the moment. I mean, Zeke is hurt, and so I'm not going to, disparage Zeke right now, but Zeke is not the best running back on this team right now. He might be, more beloved than Tony Pollard, but he is not the best running back on this team right now. So the Cowboys also, had, a situation where they didn't have the best running back on their team here. Now here, I mentioned this a little while ago. Lee Barker II says, relax. Wins in December are huge. Don't be proud. Just win, baby. And again, this is what a lot of people are going to say this week. Cowboys fans all over the world are going to have this argument back and forth all week long. Say we're bad, we're awful, we're trash, Dak sucks, blah, 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 blah. And then you're going to get the pushback. You're going to get the people who say they're winning. Why are you upset? They're 2-0 in December. They've won their last 2 games on the road. Mike McCarthy missed one of them. They've had a lot of trials and tribulations. All of that is true. All of these things can be true. Number one, that it's impressive that the Cowboys are winning right now. Number two, that they're 2-0 in the month of December, a critical month, obviously, as far as the regular season is concerned, that they do not look very good, generally speaking, and that if they had played better teams than New Orleans and Washington, they probably would not be 2-0. And that the future of this team in the immediate, window here, as far as 2021 is concerned, doesn't look too promising. It's possible for all of those things to be true. Just because the Cowboys are 2-0 in December does not mean that everything is hunky-dory. Just because the Cowboys are playing really badly right now does not mean the end of the world is here. But there is a middle ground in between those truths that we are currently living in, where we are saying it's awesome that the Cowboys have won these last 2 games. It's awesome that right now we have a lot of, qualms with this team that we want to see fixed, but that they're 2-0 in the games that we're kind of discovering them. All of that is great. All of that is good contextually. However, it is not good or promising for the future of this team. We don't know how this team's going to play as far as the playoffs are concerned. Right now, if we had to wager, it would not be very good. And so that's just kind of where they're at. Let's see here. Let's get back. Tony says Dak sucks. He's off. And it continues. We're not going far in the playoffs. This should have been a blowout. I agree that it should have been a blowout. I agree that Dak Prescott's been awful. I'm not going to say Dak sucks. I mean, Dak has more than carried the Cowboys as far as his career is concerned. I'm not going to say he sucks. All right. That's just, again, Dak is still in the overall a great quarterback. He's clearly not playing very well. He's clearly in one of the bigger slumps of his career. Now, Brian Garcia says the team is still banged up. I would put it to you, Brian, who is not banged up? Who's not dealing with some? Look at Washington in this game. Washington had like nobody on their team. Taylor Heineke gets hurt. I mean, they have nobody, that's really able to play offensively for them. Of note, Terry McLaurin gets hurt in this game, and they're still able to move the ball. Granted, they did get the pick 6, obviously, there at the end. Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys are relatively healthy. I mean, we saw that on the defensive side of the ball. We saw what it was like to have DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory and Neville Gallimore and Micah Parsons. I mean, we had all these guys. So the Cowboys are, relatively healthy. Here's another argument that comes up, people. And look, these are going to happen. These are going to hit your Twitter mentions all week long from Robert. Robert says it's a divisional game. Yes, it's a divisional game. But we all agree that this Washington team sucks. We can't all week long when we're trying to make fun of them be like, this team sucks. How is this team getting excited? Blah, 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 blah. And then come here and try to pretend like we're proud of this win because Washington is some good team. They're not. Yes, they had won 4 games in a row. Yes, that was impressive. Yes, it is a division rival. Yes, it is a road game. It's a road game against a division rival in the month of December. All of those things are true, but it's still not a very good team. So we don't need to put lipstick on this pig. So it is what it is. Let's see here. Christopher Lopez, thank you here, says Dallas needs to position themselves for the best path to win the Super Bowl. I agree. Brian H. says, would Pollard have made a difference? I think Pollard would have allowed for more, and I say this somewhat tongue-in-cheek, more creativity on offense. I think that they are stuck. They don't have anything to really, they remind me, I love the show Survivor. They're like a tribe that doesn't have the flint and can't get the fire going. We know that the capability for the fire is there, right? They have the husk and the wood and the, other fire-making materials, but they don't have the flint to get the fire started. And so if you've watched Survivor in the more recent seasons, no spoilers here, but there is a fire-making challenge, and it gets really stressful when somebody can't get the fire going. And that's kind of what the Cowboys are. They're trying to strike this thing, a rock or a knife or whatever. I'm a little bit in over my head here with analogies. I'm not a fire maker myself, but that's what the Cowboys are. They're trying to get a spark. They're trying to get something going, and they just do not have anything. They cannot get that spark. They have the tower built with all the, is it kindling? They have everything ready. As long as that spark comes, then it'll all take off. And we see that in stretches. We saw that at the end of the first half. When the Cowboys offense is in 2-minute mode, bada bing, bada boom, they're going to score, except they didn't score. They had to settle for a field goal, but let's let bygones be bygones. The point here is that this offense still has that potential, but they just cannot get that spark going on a very consistent basis, which is a troubling thing, again, as we get deeper and deeper and deeper into the month of in the month of December. Let's see here. Burmy Star says, or I love this comment. Where did it go? They're using moss-covered stones. That's exactly what's happening. Brian H. says, speaking of Survivor, Danny McCray is on there. I had no idea. That's true. Again, no spoilers here. but that's an interesting comment this particular week of all weeks. I'll just say that. Anyway, I don't want to get anybody in trouble that hasn't seen Survivor yet. Let's see here. Christopher Lopez says 2 steps up, 1 step back with Dak. Agreed. F. Kit Crutch says, but we blew out the other divisional teams, so we dropped the ball today, even in a win. That's a great point. Cowboys are 3-0 in the division. Both, or 2 of the 2 wins before the day were at home at AT&T Stadium, and both of them blowouts. I mean, just domination of, the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. And now you struggled. And not only did you struggle, but you struggled offensively, which is supposed to be your bread and butter. And then you let them back in. I mean, that's, I'm not like worried about Washington 2 weeks from now. I'm definitely not worried about New York a week from now, but it was not, it was not this hearty win. It was, you ever want to eat your dinner, right? And you're like, oh man, actually, here's a perfect analogy for you. The other night I mentioned my wife and I were watching Harry Potter. I made a bowl of cereal, Captain Crunch. I know, 32 years old, no big deal. Made a bowl of cereal and was super pumped to eat this bowl of cereal. And, because I don't want it to get too soggy. And then I got a phone call and I had to deal with the phone call. And then something else happened. And so it like 15 minutes went by and I finally get to the bowl of cereal and everything's all soggy, right? And that's kind of like, that's kind of how this divisional game was, right? Like it didn't have the right taste. It got the job done. But it just, it got gross is really, kind of what I'm getting at here. Let's see here. Let's get to some honorable mentions. We already went over winners and losers. Honorable mention, Trevon Diggs. Would have loved to see him get another interception. Did not happen. Wasn't meant to be. No worries, Trevon. We still believe in you. Honorable mention, Greg Zuerlein. Hey, can we get some love for Greg Zuerlein? My man, I can't say my man. I've disparaged him a lot this season, but my man went 4 for 4 on field goals. 4 for 4, Greg Zuerlein did on field goals. I mean, this was a perfect day for Greg Zuerlein on the NFL's worst field. I mean, that's, look, do we feel any better about Greg Zuerlein? Hell no. We don't feel awesome about this by any means. Tampa up, by the way, now 17-13, extra point pending on the Bills. The Bills are frauds, by the way. Tough scene in Buffalo. But see, it could be worse. It could be worse. It could be the Bills. But seriously, I mean, Greg Zuerlein went 4 for 4. Good for him. We needed all those points. Proud of you, Greg. Definitely proud of you. However, he is not the most special foot on the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think we've given him any love all season. Honorable mention, Bryan Anger. I'm going to say something ridiculous here. I don't think it's ridiculous. I think Bryan Anger's a Pro Bowler. I think he is. I think he partly benefits from the fact that he's a Cowboy and he's on a Cowboys team that's having a lot of success. And he's kind of a famous punter. In case anybody doesn't know, Bryan Anger was the punter that was drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2012 that spurred Rich Eisen to say punters are people too. So he's kind of a well-known guy. He plays for the Cowboys, really successful Cowboys team. Bryan Anger has been good this year. He's been like, we don't talk about him enough. Bryan Anger has been really solid for the Cowboys. Not a coffin corner punter or anything like that, but really good at kind of flipping the field. And maybe the bar is super low that punters have to cross for us, that threshold, because we're so used to, Chris Jones over the last couple of years and the Cowboys holding on to him for far too long. But Bryan Anger, really proud of you, man. Good job. Congratulations on your honorable mention. Final honorable mention, all right, because we had 4 of them. I don't think you're going to be able to get this one if I had to have you guess, but I'm not going to have you do that. Offensive line adjustments. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Cowboys' offensive line was great in Washington. I'm not going to say that. But I do think that they had a lot to have to handle, right? Zach Martin goes down. Tyron Smith. Lyle Collins gets ejected. So you've got all these things happening. I mean, mid-game, literally mid-game, Connor McGovern has to flip from the left guard to the right guard spot and then go back to left guard when Connor Williams gets off the field because Zach Martin comes back. So, I mean, that deserves some props. That deserves some credit, I think, for being able to handle that in the middle of a game. That's tough. Good for the Cowboys being able to just handle the change, weather the storm, steady the ship, however you want to put it. Good for them. Great job, Cowboys offensive line, contextually speaking. Those are our winners, our losers, and our honorable mentions. Whatever else you want to talk about, though, we definitely will get to. There was a question here. Where was it? Chris says, how are we the number 1 offense in the league? Chris. Generally speaking, the number 1 offense in the NFL is the team averaging the most yards per game, and the Cowboys were exceptional during the first half of the season, so that has really carried them to this point. That is why they're still the number 1 offense in the league. Brian Rails, thank you for the super chat. Says, I have gave Anger some love a week or 2 ago. That's right, you did in a super chat, but he needs his respect. All credit, all respect in the world to Bryan Anger. He has been awesome, really, to say the least. Mitchell Green says, any word on Tyron? Nothing yet. Let's see here. We do have a Dak Prescott quote now at the podium. Dak says, on if this is the best defense the franchise has had during his 6-year tenure, for sure. This defense is great. I practice against them every day. Yeah, okay, Dak, cool. Now be great yourself, please. Dak says he told Lyle Collins how much he appreciated him after he stood up for him in the fourth quarter. Good for you, Dak. Dak is giving credit to the defense. So good for him. I mean, really happy to see Dak Prescott, recognizing what's going on, but says he should have taken the sack, Dak does, on the fourth quarter interception. Says there's no excuse for that, period. We know. We know that, Dak. So appreciate it. Anyway, George Hollingsworth says, did you mention Neville Gallimore is an honorable mention, playing a good game and getting a sack on his first game back? I did not, but if you want to put him in fact, done. Neville Gallimore, honorable mention. Seriously, great game. This was Neville Gallimore's first game of the season, and he played really well, really gave the Cowboys a lot more room to operate in the way they want to with Micah Parsons. Really great game for Dan Quinn. It's hard to pick somebody specifically. I mean, the defensive linemen that we gave honorable mentions or winners to here were obviously Randy Gregory. We gave one to Dorance Armstrong because he had the touchdown. We gave one to Micah Parsons if you want to, put him in that box. I mean, there were a lot of great performances by Cowboys defensive linemen or defenders overall. We didn't even mention DeMarcus Lawrence. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence played really well. This was a really great defensive game for the Dallas Cowboys. And I think I said this last week, and it doesn't help that we're having to say it again. But if I had told you at the beginning of the season that one thing could be elite on the Cowboys in the middle of December, offense or defense, what would you have wanted? What would you have wanted? I would actually like your answers if you're with us live. If I could have guaranteed, if I was your magic genie, I came out of what do they come out of? It's not a bottle. What is the thing that the genie comes out of in Aladdin? It's like the horizontal, it's like a teacup pour thing, whatever. If I could have guaranteed you one thing, offense or defense, to be elite in the middle of December, what would you have picked? I think if you're saying offense, you're lying. If you're saying offense, I'm going to call you out. I think it's a lamp. Thank you very much. Man, that's embarrassing. But anyway, a lot of you saying defense. And Watsamata, I'm not picking this comment because he said great point, RJ, but it does help. Watsamata says defense. Great point, RJ. We all would have said defense, and we would have said this. This is exactly what we would have said. I'm going back in time now. I'm like Clock Stoppers or Marty McFly and the Doc. Doc didn't do anything. Marty did all the work. We would have said, you know what? I will take an elite defense, because if the offense isn't elite, they'll figure it out. Right? That the offense will figure it out. I've seen the offense be elite before. I've seen that happen a lot. I trust that the offense will be elite. Plus, I'd rather have the elite defense because we're going to have to go against some other elite offenses. We're going to have to go against the Green Bay Packers. We're going to have to go against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to have to go against the Los Angeles Rams. We never would have thought the Arizona Cardinals. But you know what I'm saying? We would have said that. And we would have said, if we expand on the question, if I had said, after you had said defense, or before, maybe you were on the fence and I said, okay, now if you can only pick one of the two sides of the ball, no discredit to special teams, touchdown, by the way, Jamar Chase for the Bengals, but hopefully he's on your fantasy team. If I had said, if you have to pick one to figure it out, right? If you have to pick one to kind of struggle through it and figure it out, and I know we're playing hindsight here, you would have said offense. You would have said, I trust that this offense with Dak and Amari and MG and CD and Schultz and Zeke and Tony Pollard, I trust that they'll figure it out. And I trust that too. And I hope you do still. And I know that they're, not giving us any reason to trust them, right? All they really have for us to trust them is kind of the last, 5 years. And certainly the first half of this season, we know that's the thing. We're not chasing ghosts here. We're not moving the goalposts in a really far way to say this offense can be elite. This offense was elite. This offense was elite 2 months ago. We don't have to look very far. We're not saying, and I think this happens all the time. As an example, the San Francisco 49ers are still trying to be that 2019 team, right? They're still trying to be that. And sometimes you can't do that. You can't be that same team 2 years later. The Cowboys are not trying to be a team from a year ago or 2 years ago. They're trying to be the offense that they were 2 months ago. That's very possible. Now, maybe Dak Prescott's still dealing with some, lingering effects of the calf strain. Maybe things are just off. Maybe it is a matter of, newness, because this group of offensive players, these receivers, this quarterback, these offensive linemen, these running backs have not played a ton of games together. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they just are bad, right? Like maybe that's what it is too. Maybe there is just a simplicity to it all that maybe they are just bad right now. Whatever it is, we trust that the offense will figure it out. I know it doesn't feel promising right now. I know you don't feel great about that right now. You wouldn't put a lot of your money on that. But if you had to pick one to be elite, it would be the defensive side of the ball. That's not me trying to say, hey, shut up, be happy. The Cowboys are winning. That's not my point at all. You have every right to be concerned. You have every right to be worried and freaked out that this offense might not be good come the most important part of the season, which is the playoffs. However, you also have reason to believe. They've given you that before. Are they going to be that team again? I don't know. And you don't know. We're gonna go through it all together. We're gonna experience it all together. But this offense can be elite. We have seen it before. It is just that's here's the thing. Like, I realize, by the way, Doxson7 just says, just saw Herbert throw the sickest touchdown. He really did. I've got the Red Zone channel on behind you guys. Great touchdown. I think he could also get a roughing the passer. Jalen Guyton, great catch, by the way, for that score. Great job, Chargers, get that win. But if we had said, if I had told you, and I know I'm playing a lot of ifs and what is it, ifs and buts or candy and nuts, whatever. I'm playing a lot of ifs with you. But if I had said that the worst player on the team in December would have been Dak Prescott, you would have said, holy crap, I will take that all day long. And we wouldn't have thought that Dak would have been bad. We would have thought that everybody was just playing really, really, really well. But if there is one dude, and look, I know he's not playing well right now, and I'm not going to lie to you and say he is. But if there's one dude, who, if we had to pick one guy, one person throughout the entire Cowboys organization that could get out of the funk and get back to the place that the team needs them to be, there is nobody I think that we would bet on more than Dak Prescott. Nobody that we would believe could do it more than Dak Prescott. If it was, and I don't mean this with any slides to anybody else, but if it was Dalton Schultz, if it was Neville Gallimore, if it was Osa Odighizuwa or Anthony Brown, we wouldn't believe it would be possible, right? We would say, look, there's no way that can happen. But Dak Prescott can do it. We know that. So let's see here. Bryan on Super Chat says, losers, the WTF team. Yeah, I don't know who right now. The Cowboys are the WTF team. Washington's the WFT team. Yeah. Let's see here. A lot of you are arguing in the comments. Let's see here. Ty Kasky says Giants is the perfect time to get back on track, to be honest. Hopefully. And after next week, the Cowboys are at home for a little while. And I think that we all think they certainly need that. It's been a long stretch. I mean, they haven't been at home. Think about it. The last time the Cowboys played a home game on a Sunday, all right, on a Sunday, was the Atlanta Falcons game, the Monkey Butt game. It's been that long. Sometimes it goes that long. There's just the weirdness of this time of the year. Cowboys, this is going to be their third road game in a row. They're 2-0 so far. They deserve a lot of credit for that. They don't deserve all the credit. Not everything's not perfect. Everything's not awesome. Everything's not hunky-dory and great and sunshine and rainbows, but they deserve a lot of credit for persevering through, fighting through, getting a win, finding a way. Kudos to them. Kudos to you. Let's see here. Dave says, I say we want the table. I'm serious. I don't know what table we want. I don't know what table that is, but whatever. I want it too, whatever the table is. Watsamata, big loser, super chat says there was an episode on our podcast network. Rhiannon Walker from The Athletic was not a fan of the Cowboys. That's okay. So hey, no big deal. Sometimes look, we have guests on. Sometimes they believe in the Cowboys, sometimes they don't. So it is what it is. Girls Talking Boys, one of the great shows that we offer you on the Blog on the Boys podcast network. Again, available wherever you get your podcasts. If you can subscribe, leave a rating. Those things help us out a lot. Let's see here. Lil Boats says the difference in this team is they would have lost for years with their starting quarterback playing like this. I agree. And that's where, again, Mike McCarthy deserves credit. We talked about this. The Cowboys deserve credit for powering through. Oh, run the table is the comment. Yeah, I think I agree with you guys. Let's run the table. Cool. All right, cool. Okay, we got that. We were talking about the Bills a little while ago, so I didn't know what the table comment was. But agreed. I think it's impressive that they're finding ways to win despite the offense's clunkiness. They're a little bit lucky, right, that they've played some lower teams, but you can only play who's in front of you. And so, there's a little bit of this, there's a little bit of that, there's context here, there's context there. All of it is necessary as the Giants are about to go into the locker room at halftime down 24-7. You hate to see it, you really do. Yeah, Cody Melton says, if the offense clicks, we're in the NFC Championship. That's the thing. That's kind of where I'm coming around on this. Maybe now I'm getting positive and optimistic. If the Cowboys offense stabilizes, which isn't the most far-fetched thing in the world to believe, it's not. I mean, I know it feels that way right now. It is not inconceivable that the Cowboys offense would start playing well again. And if they do, this is the defense we wanted, right? If you put this defense, with the defense we're seeing, with the offense that we saw the first half of the season, bam. I mean, I know that that's a big if. I know it's a big if, and, there's a lot to go. There's still a month. It is officially halftime, by the way. Giants are losing 24-7. You really do hate to see it. But it's a lot to ask. So we'll see, though. Next up, the New York Football Giants on the road. Cowboys are done wearing their Navy uniforms. I know a lot of you don't like them, but they are 2-0 in them over the last 2 weeks. So good for the Cowboys. So appreciate everybody for joining us here on our post-game show. Lots of action coming up in the NFC East. Again, lots of NFC East games happening. The Cowboys, there's 2 NFC East games next week. Cowboys visit the Giants. The Washington football team visits the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, we'll see whether the Giants are 4-9 or 5-8 after today's game, but they are clearly going to be 4-9. But so we are rooting for the Cowboys, goes without saying, and we are also rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles. If the Cowboys and Eagles both win next week, it is NFC East championship time here on our postgame show. Kellen King says, I think Parsons is the rookie of the year, but he is the best defense. Is he the best defensive player on the Cowboys? I know you said that it's a question, Kellen. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, he's the best defensive player on the Cowboys. I mean, there was a little while where it was a little bit touch and go. And I still believe in DeMarcus Lawrence. Randy Gregory is amazing. Obviously, Trevon Diggs offers a lot himself. Micah Parsons is the best defensive player on the Cowboys. It's not close. I mean, he's just that good. I mean that with no disrespect to any player on the Cowboys defense that is not Micah Parsons. He is amazing. Chris Smith with a great point. Victory Polo Monday, baby. If you want to, take a photo, a selfie of yourself wearing a Dallas Cowboys polo. It doesn't even have to be a polo. It doesn't have to be a Cowboys thing. Just take a selfie. Tweet it at us. I'm at RJ Ochoa. We are at Blogging the Boys. We'll share it. Victory Polo Monday, number 9. The Dallas Cowboys are oh so close to an NFC East championship. So let's think positive. So thank you so much to everybody for joining us on our postgame show. Hope if you did some Christmas shopping this weekend, it went really well, or whatever you got going on. These are obviously some crazy times, the holiday season. Whenever we speak to you next, we hope you and your family have happy holidays. We're so honored. We're so privileged that you take time out of your very busy life to hang out with us here at Blogging the Boys. And if you want to support us, please subscribe to the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our podcast network. Follow us on social media. Those things really help us out a lot, those subscriptions. And so we're all a Cowboys family. And so it's fun. I mean, no matter what happens, obviously when the Cowboys win, it's a lot more fun. Even when they win like this, it's still a lot of fun to get together around the campfire like we do here and talk about the best team in the world. So thank you, everybody. Hope you have a great Victory Polo Monday yourselves. Hope the weekend treated you well. Next week, let's get an NFC East title. But my name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa. If email is more your speed, you can email me rj.ochoa@sbnation.com. But that about does it for now, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.